Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the Great Britain 2 pence coin, one of the most recognizable and historically rich denominations in British coinage, a coin that quietly circulated in millions of pockets yet carries centuries of symbolism, tradition, and royal identity. First introduced in 1971 as part of the United Kingdom's historic transition to decimal currency, the 2 pence coin marked a turning point in British monetary history when the old pounds, shillings, and pence system was replaced with a simpler decimal structure, making this small bronze coin a witness to one of the most significant economic reforms in modern Britain. From its very first issue, the coin featured the iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, symbolizing stability, continuity, and the longest reigning monarch in British history, while the reverse proudly displayed the famous Prince of Wales's feathers, a centuries-old heraldic emblem, representing the heir to the throne, with the words 2 pence boldly inscribed beneath, a design that instantly connected modern Britain to its medieval royal traditions. The coin measures approximately 25.9 millimeters in diameter and weighs about 7.12 grams, originally struck in bronze with a composition of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, giving it its warm reddish-brown tone that collectors still admire today, though in later years the composition would change to copper-plated steel. Due to rising metal costs, an evolution that itself tells a story of changing economics and global commodity markets, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse has also evolved over time, reflecting different stages of her reign, from the youthful first portrait by Arnold McKim to later mature effigies by Raphael Maclauff, Ian Rank Broadley, and Jody Clark. Each portrait not only capturing the Queen's likeness but also the artistic style and cultural mood of its era, making the 2 pence coin a visual timeline of Britain's modern history, minted by the Royal Mint, one of the oldest mints in the world with roots dating back over 1,000 years. This coin represents the craftsmanship, precision, and authority of British coin production. Circulated widely across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, it became an everyday companion for generations, used to buy newspapers, sweets, bus tickets, and small essentials, embedding itself into daily life while silently carrying royal symbolism in every transaction. Despite its low denomination, the 2 pence coin holds a powerful place in British culture, referenced in idioms, jokes, and even music, and remembered fondly by collectors who grew up during its bronze era. As we continue this journey through the coin's deeper history, design evolution, and production story, you'll begin to see how even a humble 2 pence piece can reveal an extraordinary narrative of monarchy, modernization, and national identity. The introduction of the 2 pence coin in Great Britain marked a profound turning point in British monetary history, emerging directly from the country's monumental transition to a decimal currency system in 1971, a reform that reshaped centuries of traditional coinage rooted in pounds, shillings, and pence. And the 2 pence denomination was created not merely as a small value coin, but as a symbol of modern Britain adapting to a rapidly changing economic and global landscape, replacing older bronze denominations with a simplified decimal structure that would be easier for everyday transactions, education, accounting, and international trade. And at the heart of this transformation stood Queen Elizabeth II, whose portrait would grace the obverse of the new coin, continuing her reign as the most recognizable figure in British numismatics. While the reverse design chosen for the 2 pence coin carried deep national symbolism by featuring the Prince of Wales's feathers, a centuries-old emblem associated with the heir to the British throne, representing continuity, heritage, and constitutional monarchy even as the nation modernized its currency. And the decision to issue the 2 pence coin in bronze during its earliest years reflected both practicality and tradition, as bronze had long been associated with British low-denomination coinage, offering durability, resistance to corrosion, and a familiar feel in the hand of the public. And when the coin first entered circulation in 1971, it carried a weight, size, and appearance deliberately designed to distinguish it clearly from the 1-penny coin while still fitting comfortably within the new decimal system, ensuring smooth public acceptance during a period of massive change. And Queen Elizabeth II's effigy on the obverse evolved subtly across different portrait versions over the decades, each portrait reflecting her age, artistic trends, and the Royal Mint's desire to balance realism with dignity, beginning with Arnold McKim's youthful portrait that presented the Queen with a calm, idealized profile wearing a laurel wreath, symbolizing stability and continuity at a time when Britain was redefining its economic identity. And this portrait became deeply embedded in public consciousness, appearing not only on the 2 pence coin but across a wide range of British denominations, reinforcing trust in the new decimal currency. While the coin's edge, surface finish, and lettering were carefully engineered to ensure durability in heavy circulation, as the 2 pence coin was expected to be used extensively in daily transactions such as public transport, small retail purchases, and vending machines, And over time, the Royal Mint refined minting techniques to improve strike quality and longevity, especially as production numbers reached into the hundreds of millions annually during peak circulation years, reflecting the coin's essential role in everyday British life. And despite its humble face value, the 2-pence coin became a quiet witness to decades of social, political, and economic change, circulating through periods of inflation, recession, technological advancement, and cultural shifts, passing through countless hands while silently recording history through subtle changes in metal composition, portrait style, and minting standards. And as the years progressed, the Royal Mint eventually transitioned from bronze to copper-plated steel in 1992, a change driven by rising metal costs and efficiency concerns. Yet even this material shift preserved the familiar appearance of the coin so that public trust and recognition remained intact, demonstrating how deeply ingrained the 2-pence coin had become in British daily life. And throughout Queen Elizabeth II's long reign, the 2-pence coin stood as a testament to her enduring presence on the throne, with each successive portrait marking a new chapter in both her life and the nation's story, from youthful optimism to seasoned leadership, all captured on a coin that many overlooked in value but which held immense historical and symbolic significance, making the Great Britain 2-pence coin far more than a simple unit of currency, but rather a tangible link between tradition and modernization, monarchy and the people, and past and present within the evolving narrative of British numismatics. The introduction of the British 2-pence coin marked one of the most important monetary transformations in the history of the United Kingdom, emerging from the sweeping wave of decimalisation that officially reshaped British currency on February 15, 1971, a date remembered as Decimal Day, when the centuries-old system of pounds, shillings, and pence was replaced with a simpler decimal structure. And within this historic change, the 2-pence coin became a symbol of modernization, practicality, and everyday life for millions of Britons, as the coin was designed to represent 2 new pence, equal to 1/60th of a pound, replacing older bronze denominations and fitting seamlessly into the new base 100 monetary system. And from its earliest days, the coin was struck in bronze and carried significant artistic and symbolic weight, featuring on its reverse the iconic Prince of Wales's feathers design created by the renowned British sculptor Christopher Ironside, a motif deeply rooted in British royal heraldry, consisting of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet and accompanied by the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve, a phrase long associated with the heir to the British throne, and this choice of design reflected continuity with national identity even as the nation moved toward a modernized currency system, while the obverse bore the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, whose effigy evolved over time across multiple definitive portrait styles, beginning with the youthful first portrait by Arnold McKim, showing the Queen facing right, wearing a laurel wreath, symbolizing dignity and stability during the early years of her reign. And as decades passed, subsequent portraits by Raphael Maclauff, Ian Rank Broadley, and later Jody Clark reflected the Queen's aging profile and the passage of time, turning the 2-pence coin into a subtle visual timeline of Britain's longest reigning monarch. And beyond its artistic elements, the physical characteristics of the 2-pence coin also tell an important story, as it was minted with a diameter of approximately 25.9 millimeters and a weight of just over 7 grams in its original bronze composition, making it substantial yet practical for everyday transactions, widely used in shops, buses, vending machines, and households across the country, where it became instantly recognizable by its size and deep reddish-brown color. And for nearly 2 decades, bronze 2-pence coins circulated heavily, absorbing the wear and patina of daily commerce, before a major compositional shift occurred in 1992 when the Royal Mint transitioned from bronze to copper-plated steel for 1 and 2-pence coins, a move driven by rising metal costs and economic efficiency, which significantly altered the coin's magnetic properties and weight while retaining the familiar appearance to the naked eye. And this change introduced a dividing line for collectors, as pre-1992 bronze issues became increasingly desirable for their higher intrinsic copper content and distinctive ring when dropped, while post-1992 steel issues became more economical for mass circulation. And throughout its circulation history, the 2-pence coin remained a reflection of Britain's social and economic rhythms, witnessing inflation, technological change, and evolving spending habits, as its purchasing power gradually diminished over the decades. Yet it continued to serve as an essential unit in pricing structures, charity collections, and everyday change. While the Royal Mint produced millions of these coins annually at various facilities, primarily Llantrisant in Wales, ensuring a steady supply for national circulation, and although often overlooked due to its low denomination, the 2-pence coin quietly recorded Britain's journey through the late 20th and early 21st centuries, from post-war recovery to globalization, and even into debates about the future of low-denomination coinage, as discussions emerged about whether such coins remained cost-effective or necessary in a digital economy. Yet despite these debates, the 2 pence coin endured, cherished by collectors not only for rare varieties and errors but also for its historical continuity, royal symbolism, and unmistakable presence in British daily life, making it far more than a simple piece of copper or steel, but rather a small yet powerful artifact of national identity, monarchy, and monetary evolution. The British 2 pence coin under Queen Elizabeth II represents one of the most fascinating examples of how a seemingly ordinary decimal coin can evolve into a complex collector subject driven by design transitions, metal composition changes, minting volumes, error varieties, and unexpected scarcity patterns that only reveal themselves decades later. Because while billions of 2 pence coins have been struck since decimalization in 1971, not all issues are equal in desirability or survival, and understanding the subtle distinctions between common circulation strikes and genuinely collectible examples is essential for any serious numismatist, particularly when examining early bronze issues struck between 1971 and 1992, which were composed of 97% copper and carried intrinsic metal appeal that later copper-plated steel versions lack, making well-preserved early dates especially desirable today due to widespread corrosion, circulation wear, and copper theft melting during periods of high metal prices, with particular attention paid to low mintage years such as 1972 proof-only strikes for sets, certain late 1980s dates that show weaker strikes or uneven planchet quality, and especially transitional years like 1992, which marks the final year of true bronze composition before the switch to copper-plated steel in 1993, a transition that created diagnostic weight differences and magnetic properties that collectors actively seek, especially when mistakes occurred at the mint, resulting in wrong metal errors such as bronze planchets used after the official changeover or steel blanks mistakenly struck with older dies, errors that command significant premiums when authenticated, while beyond metal composition. One of the most important value drivers in the 2 pence series is the reverse design evolution from Christopher Ironside's iconic prints of whale's feathers used from 1971 until 2008 to Matthew Dent's Royal Shield design introduced in 2008, a change that transformed ordinary pocket change into a massive multi-year collecting challenge, particularly the early Shield issues where incomplete strikes or weak die fills resulted in missing lines or distorted heraldic details, varieties that are avidly catalogued and sought after, while among all 2 pence rarities the most famous remains the 1983 new pence mule error, an accidental use of the obsolete reverse legend after it had officially been replaced by 2 pence in 1982, creating a coin that should never have existed yet entered circulation unnoticed, with authenticated examples now commanding hundreds to thousands of pounds depending on condition, making it one of the most celebrated modern British error coins ever discovered. And although most people associate that error with 1 penny coins, 2 pence examples are equally historic and far rarer, while other overlooked varieties include rotated die errors, off-center strikes, double-struck pieces, clipped planchets, broad strikes without collars, and ghosting effects caused by die fatigue in later steel issues, all of which add layers of complexity to a coin many dismiss as worthless. Yet condition remains the ultimate value determinant, because while circulated copper-plated steel 2 pence coins typically carry minimal premium, high-grade uncirculated examples of early bronze dates with full mint luster, sharp feather details, and minimal carbon spotting are increasingly scarce due to decades of heavy circulation, and proof issues struck for annual sets exhibit deep mirrored fields and frosted devices that dramatically separate them from circulation strikes, often commanding steady collector demand especially when preserved in original Royal Mint packaging. While the international collector market has also boosted interest in Elizabeth II 2 pence coins as symbolic artifacts of Britain's transition into a modern decimal economy, the long reign of a monarch whose portrait changed multiple times across the obverse, from Arnold Machin to Raphael Maclauff, Ian Rank Broadley, and Jody Clark, each subtly influencing strike quality, portrait relief, and die longevity, factors that advanced collectors analyze closely, and when all of these elements are combined, composition shifts, legendary errors, design transitions, proof versus circulation strikes, die varieties, and condition rarity, the British 2 pence coin emerges not as small change but as a deeply layered numismatic series that rewards patience, education, and careful searching, especially for collectors willing to look beyond face value and recognize that history, scarcity, and human error can elevate even the humblest coin into a genuine collectible. The Great Britain 2 pence coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II holds a surprisingly rich and complex place in modern numismatics, especially when collectors begin to explore its rarities, minting anomalies, metal composition variations, circulation quirks, and market-driven value shifts that emerged over decades of production. Beginning with its introduction in 1971 during the United Kingdom's historic decimalization, when Britain transitioned from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a modern decimal currency, and the 2p coin instantly became a workhorse denomination used daily by millions. Yet within that mass production environment emerged a series of extraordinary variations that today command serious attention and, in some cases, impressive prices, particularly among British and international collectors who focus on modern-era coins, die varieties, and low mintage issues. One of the most famous and sought-after rarities is the legendary 1983 new pence error, a coin that should never have existed, because in 1982 the Royal Mint officially changed the reverse inscription from new pence to simply 2 pence. Yet due to the accidental use of an obsolete reverse die, a very small number of 1983 dated coins were struck with the outdated new pence legend, creating one of the most famous decimal-era errors in British coinage. And while exact surviving numbers remain unknown, experts believe only a handful exist in private hands, with authenticated examples selling at auction for tens of thousands of pounds, making it a dream discovery for collectors and the ultimate reminder that even modern pocket change can hide extraordinary value. Equally intriguing are other date-specific rarities, such as low-mintage proof-only years, especially certain early decimal proof issues from the 1970s that were never released for general circulation and exist solely in official Royal Mint proof sets, which means that collectors seeking complete date runs must pay a premium to secure pristine examples, particularly those with deep cameo contrast and flawless surfaces graded by professional services. Another major category that drives collector demand is metal composition, as early 2p coins were struck in solid bronze until 1992, after which the Royal Mint transitioned to copper-plated steel to reduce costs. And this change created a fascinating crossover year in 1992 when both bronze and steel versions exist, with the bronze examples commanding higher prices due to their heavier weight, richer color, and limited production run, and collectors frequently test these coins with magnets to identify valuable bronze survivors, while some even discover rare transitional errors where steel blanks were struck with bronze dies or vice versa. Beyond composition, die errors play a major role in value, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, double strikes, rotated dies, and dramatic misalignments that visually showcase the mechanical imperfections of the minting process, with severe examples often selling for significant premiums depending on eye appeal and condition, while more subtle varieties such as doubled lettering, weak strikes, ghosting, or die cracks appeal to specialized error collectors who appreciate the technical side of mint production. Portrait variations of Queen Elizabeth II also contribute to collectability, as the 2p coin features multiple effigy changes over her long reign, from Arnold Mackin's youthful first portrait to Raphael Maclaugh's mature effigy, Ian Rank Broadley's realistic depiction, and later Jody Clark's final portrait, each representing a distinct era of British history, and collectors often pursue complete portrait sets across denominations, driving demand for high-grade examples of each design phase. Condition remains a critical factor in determining value, as most 2p coins were heavily circulated and show wear, scratches, corrosion, or discoloration, making truly uncirculated or proof-like examples increasingly scarce, especially for early dates, and coins graded MS66 or higher by reputable grading services can sell for multiples of their raw counterparts, particularly when paired with strong luster and minimal spotting. The collector market for British decimal coinage has also grown internationally, fueled by online auctions, registry set competitions, and renewed interest in Queen Elizabeth II's legacy following the end of her reign, which has driven renewed attention to coins bearing her image, including humble denominations like the 2 pence, transforming them from everyday change into historical artifacts that reflect decades of economic, cultural, and artistic evolution. And while most examples remain affordable and accessible to beginners, the presence of legendary errors, transitional metals, and condition rarities ensures that the 2p coin continues to reward knowledge, patience, and careful examination, proving that even the smallest copper coin can tell a big story and, in rare cases, become a life-changing discovery for those who know exactly what to look for. The true fascination with the Great Britain 2 pence coin bearing the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II reaches its peak when collectors turn their attention to the varieties, minting anomalies, and unexpected modern-day values that transformed this everyday bronze coin into a serious object of numismatic desire, because while millions of 2p coins passed casually through British pockets, tills, and purses, a small number emerged with characteristics so unusual that they reshaped the coin's reputation entirely, most famously the legendary new pence error of 1983, a variety that has achieved near-mythical status in British coin collecting history due to the Royal Mint's unintended use of the old new pence reverse die instead of the updated 2 pence wording, creating a transitional error that was never meant for circulation yet somehow escaped into public hands. And while standard 1983 2-pence coins are common and worth little beyond face value, the rare new pence variant has sold for thousands of pounds at auction, with confirmed examples fetching prices ranging from several £100s in lower circulated condition to well over £1,000 in higher grades, and in exceptional cases even more, depending on provenance and demand, making it one of the most famous decimal-era errors ever produced in the United Kingdom. But this is not the only variety that excites collectors, as earlier dates such as 1971, the very first year of issue, hold special importance as inaugural decimal strikes, particularly when found in high-grade uncirculated condition or with full original mint luster, while proof issues from annual proof sets command premiums for their sharp strikes, mirrored fields, and flawless surfaces. And then there are the subtle die varieties, including minor lettering spacing differences, die cracks, and rotated dies that specialists actively seek, though they require careful inspection and experience to identify accurately, and condition plays an enormous role in determining value, because while circulated examples of most dates remain worth only face value or a small premium, coins graded brilliant uncirculated or higher can multiply in worth, especially when certified by professional grading services that confirm authenticity and preservation, and collectors also pay close attention to composition changes over time, noting that earlier bronze issues tend to tone beautifully with age, developing rich chocolate, mahogany, or reddish hues that enhance visual appeal, whereas later copper-plated steel issues often suffer from corrosion or bubbling when the plating fails, reducing long-term collectability. Yet even among steel examples, pristine specimens remain desirable for date sets, and beyond errors and grades, the cultural symbolism of the coin adds another layer of value, as the 2-pence piece reflects Queen Elizabeth II's unprecedented reign, spanning multiple generations and capturing shifts in portraiture from youthful elegance to dignified maturity, with each effigy representing a chapter in modern British history, making the coin not just a monetary artifact but a visual timeline of a monarch's life and legacy. And as collectors around the world increasingly explore affordable entry points into classic coinage, the British 2-pence continues to attract attention for its accessibility, historical relevance, and the thrill of potential discovery, because the idea that a rare error might still exist unnoticed in old collections, inherited jars, or forgotten coin rolls keeps enthusiasm alive, reminding us that numismatics is not only about gold and silver but also about stories hidden in humble copper coins, stories of minting decisions, economic change, royal symbolism, and the enduring excitement of finding something extraordinary where it was least expected, making the Queen Elizabeth II 2-pence coin a timeless reminder that even the smallest denomination can hold immense historical and monetary significance when viewed through the lens of careful study and passionate collecting. Thanks for watching.